Welcome to Makers of Tomorrow, the podcast where each episode we talk with founders, industry leaders, and innovators to explore the latest trends shaping brands and the consumer experience.
We are your hosts, Karine Mallet and Corey Gottlieb, founders of Replica, the social selling platform revolutionizing how brands connect, inspire, and sell in today's digital world. So whether you're a brand leader, entrepreneur, or just fascinated by the evolution of digital commerce, you're in the right place. Let's dive in. Today in the podcast, we're joined by a true icon in the world of surf, style, and soulful entrepreneurship, Kassia Meador. Often called the Queen of Longboarding, Kassia carved her place in the surf history through her elegant style on the waves and the vision on the board. After a decade as a professional surfer, Kassia launched KASSIA+SURF, the first wetsuit brand created 100% by women for women. Kassia's work isn't just about building a business, it's also about building a community of like-minded souls who care deeply about the ocean, each other, and the energy we put into the world. Today we explore how she's channeling creativity, conscious commerce, and connection to reshape what it means to be a brand, a leader in today's world. Let's dive in. Welcome, Kassia.
Hey, what's up? Thanks so much for having me. It's nice to be with you all today.
Pleasure to have you. We've had a few professional athletes on, and these usually are great conversations, so we're really happy to have you on.
Oh, thanks so much for having me. Yeah, it's always great to kind of connect and communicate, and for all the other entrepreneurs or people with ideas out there, it's so great to hear from other people and how we started things, keep the inspiration flowing.
Well, I think that's really where we're going to start is how did you get the inspiration? Like, what's the relationship with surfing and how did you become a champion? Let's start with that, and then we'll take it from there.
Yeah, I mean, surfing to me came really as a natural form of expression and really wanting to get out there and do something that inspired me. So as a kid, I was in school and really nothing about kind of like that made sense for me, going to school and getting a job and going to college and getting a bunch of debt and figuring it out. It was overwhelming for me and really kind of like I had a lot of energy, and burning off that energy in healthy ways was something that I'm so grateful that I had junior lifeguards. So I went and did junior lifeguards one summer, and I was 14 years old. That's what connected me to the ocean. It gave me an understanding of the language of the ocean, how to move with the ocean, and also how to feel my body in a different way in time and space. And I think as young people, it's a really important thing to understand ourselves. Started surfing. I never really thought I was going to be a pro surfer ever. I was just doing it because I loved it. When
you were surfing, did you ever say to yourself, maybe I can make money with this? It probably just evolved into something, right?
Yeah, not once did I ever say, I'm going to do this, as a profession. I didn't even think it was a profession. I just wanted to go surfing. Right. And it felt so good, and it felt so pure, and it felt like I really started to know myself more. As a kid, you're 14 years old, and you're just kind of like, who am I? And so that was a really good and healthy way to connect me with nature. And through that connection with nature, I got to know myself better. I got to know my wildness. I got to tame myself. So once I started surfing, it was the best. And I just started doing it more and more and more because it made sense. And it helped me to kind of move through some of the things that were uncomfortable as a kid, all that. And I'm really lucky to have parents that didn't push me. They were just like, hey, it's your life. You do what you want to do. So when it came to taking the SATs, I was like, I don't really want to do this. When it came to picking a college, I was like, oh, I think I'm going to go buy a car and live in it in Australia for a little while. And my parents were like, well, college will be there whenever you want it. It's not going anywhere. So if this is something you want to do it. As long as you make your own money and don't ask us for anything, we support you. So
amazing.
It was cool. So I was like, okay, I'm going to go figure it out and take a year and just kind of travel. And in that year, I started I looked back 10 years later, I think. And it wasn't until 10 years later, I look back and I'm like, wow, I've been a pro surfer this whole time. And, kind of started working with different companies, making more and more money, doing collaborations, not only surfing for video parts, but surfing contests. Contests really weren't what they are now, especially not in longboarding. the competitions, you wouldn't really make much money, but it was an opportunity to travel and an opportunity to connect with the surf community. And through that, other things started to happen. So my focus was about like filming movies and, you know, creating content. And through that, I also learned about kind of organizing groups, organizing photo shoots, kind of the production side of it, getting the photographer, creating the story around it. And at that time, I was surfing for Roxy Quicksilver and Swatch and a bunch of other companies. So I was designing products for them. I started, you know, kind of curating the photo shoots, because obviously these big companies, they have their marketing people that are doing a million things, right? They started really trusting me. Oh, Kassia, you want to do a story? What do you want to do? Oh, get the surfers, get the idea, get the filmer and photographer, and then go do it that way. And it was also a different time because it wasn't social media time. So it's not like we had to turn something around yesterday. We had time to actually create it.
You must have been pinching yourself at a certain point when you realized that like your dream of being in the ocean and just surfing turned into something that was not only helping you grow, but also the people around you were starting to rely on you to help build those communities and to, you know, kind of foster, you know, collaboration with everybody.
Absolutely. Not only was it a way for me to create and a way for me to connect with my self-expression, but it was also like going to business school in a way. I had like a marketing degree after doing it. I started learning production. I started learning flow, creating in that way. So yeah, it was such an awesome way to create and collaborate with people that I was inspired by, and also to put really cool stuff out into the world. And then I had this big machine behind me, Roxy Quicksilver, as well as Swatch and all these other brands that I worked with at the time, that I would come up with an idea and then they would give us the budget and I would have to work with the budget and get the people going. And that really is what fueled the idea of me starting my own company. Because I'm like, I've already done this. This is what I love to do. And again, it was like one of those things I just kind of started and just kept moving and moving and moving. And I didn't really know what I was doing until I looked back and I was like, wow, you know, I mean, in life, like, do we really know where we're going? We can only really look back and see where we've been. Right. And that's kind of like a touchstone.
Right. And I just said, I know you want to jump in there, Kareem, but I, you know, it's just amazing to me because we, like I said, we have met with athletes who have gone on to start brands, and then we've met with non-athletes who have gone on to start brands. And the thing that everybody seems to share, including Kareem and I, who own a company together, is like a shared passion for what you're doing. And it seems less and less like work when you are actually enjoying what you're doing and then creating as a part of that.
100%, you know, it's like, it's the work. It's not work. Right. So instead of like, oh, like, what is the work? Oh, it's like what we're creating, shared passion. If you're really feeling something, then people feel that from you. And we're all here to create in our own unique ways based on our own unique skill sets and background, right? So you two coming together and creating this, obviously you brought your skills and your life experience together and the same, it's like, yeah. And then through the work, I really feel that we get to know ourselves better. Because how else are we going to know ourselves? I can go kind of like really like esoteric in a way, but what is the meaning of life? To get to know ourselves better and to learn through experience and through whatever we choose in work and or in life. It's like, that's the yoga of life and what we create, and even us having this conversation. It's like really getting to kind of know ourselves better through the process of what we're doing.
Agreed.
Yeah.
Agreed.
Can you tell us about your brand, Kassia, and the inspiration on your design?
Absolutely. Yeah. So like I was surfing professionally and I felt like my physical muscles were getting a little burnt out. And I was like wanting to really continue to flex my creative muscles and to see what else I could do. After writing for Roxy Quicksilver for like 15 plus years, you know, I went from being 17-year-old to like in my early 30s. And I'm like, I want to create something on my own. And at that point, I was at the very height of my career. I was making the most money I'd ever made. And really, I should have probably just taken another contract. My agent and everybody else was like, why are you going to leave this? This is not smart. But I really wanted to create something without any barriers. I wanted to really not be told no, but just like, hey, what could I do without any restraints? And that's why I chose to leave and start KASSIA+SURF, because I really wanted to make products by women for women. I didn't want to have a bottom line dictating what I was going to create. And I wanted to see what I could do without any limits. And then also create a brand for the woman who had grown up. I wasn't a kid anymore. Roxy Quicksilver was really geared towards like the youth market. I wasn't 17, you know, right. I was like a 32-year-old woman that was like, hey, I want to create stuff for my friends. I want to create stuff I would wear. I really want to kind of do something else.
And you didn't feel like that might have been an option within the channels that you had developed already, like with Roxy and so forth? Like you felt like you had to do this on your own because like, I was just curious if there was any support mechanism around. And one of the things that we talk to entrepreneurs about a lot is like, how do you get started? You know, what was the inspiration? But then actually physically, how do you get started?
Yeah, no, totally. I didn't feel like there was, but they got a new CEO that wasn't really from the surf world, that really didn't know any of us. And like, they were basically like canceling a lot of the athlete products. So I wasn't allowed to design with them anymore. Like they were canceling that. He was like some guy from Disney. He didn't last very long because a lot of us surfers actually all left at the same time. I left, Kelly Slater left, Dane Reynolds left, we all left.
You know, we had Kelly on the Kelly's brand on the podcast too.
Yeah, cool. Yeah. So Kelly and I have known each other for years, you know, like at one point I dated his brother when we were kids, you know, so hilarious. It's like the surf world is like this small, really. You know?
I brought one of their products in their first meeting with them. I'm like, I get it. I'm buying in. I bought a Freaks of Nature, you know, stick and the whole thing.
Cool. So awesome.
Tell us about, you know, when you made that decision, like what were the early days like of starting a brand? Like how do you go about doing it and what were those early days like?
Yeah. So, you know, for me, I had, you know, two women that wanted to invest. And one of them had started a brand before. And the other one was just a fan of what I was doing and was going to be the financial backer. So I kind of had a plan like, hey, we're going to go this way. I'm going to be the designer. You know what it's like to start a brand. You have the finances to fulfill it. Okay, cool. Let's do this. 3 women coming together to create something. So I spent some time making the, you know, product, spent a whole year concepting, starting to design, getting samples, all this stuff. And we were working out the back end part of it. Right? So I've always been the kind of person like, hey, on a handshake, you know, like we'll figure out the rest later. So on the 11th hour, after a year, we were like with lawyers getting all this stuff, they had a falling out. Mm-hmm. So then I was stuck with a bill. With a lot, and also to figure this out on my own. You know, I'm still friends with both of them independently, but like, you know, the whole idea of what we were going to do together. So then I ended up just doing it totally on my own and used my entire life savings to produce my first collection, and also had no idea what the heck I was doing. Right. So it was like, okay, I do not know. So that's how it all came together, which is a difference between like somebody like Kelly that had like a whole business, like all these investors, whole companies behind him. I was just like kind of set on my own to do it.
Yeah. So how do you do that? Like, how do you go out and find manufacturers? And your idea was originally just the wetsuits, right?
Originally it was just a wetsuit, and then I wanted to do the surf wax as something because I thought surf wax was really cool and I didn't really like what was out there, and I thought it would be a cool kind of like calling card, like marketing element, you know? And so I just figured it out as I went. It's like I had relationships and with factories because I had designed wetsuits for Roxy Quicksilver. So I reached out to those people and kind of went that way. And when it came to the wax, I had done little collaborations with a friend's brand, Keep Abreast, because I do a lot for my friend's brand, Keep Abreast, like women's breast health and early detection. My mom had breast cancer, so I had been a really good friend with the founder. So I'm like, okay, I did a collection with them for wax. So I just used all my connections, you know what I mean? And because I had to do it with my own money and I had never started a company before, I had to really do it in like a very bootstrapped way, utilizing all the connections that I had. So I'm calling my friends that have stores, like, let's get it up there. Let's put it online. Okay. Figuring it out as I go. So it was a lot of figure it out as I go. And really, I think my awareness around surfing and surfing as a tool for teaching me life, it taught me persistence. It taught me to believe in myself. It taught me to follow my instinct and intuition. It continues to teach me that. And so I think it really gave me the tools to get through what seemed like a really challenging and hard time.
I think that's such a really interesting lesson. Obviously, everybody doesn't surf, but everybody does something. And I'm listening to you and I'm thinking that's the way yoga has been for me in the past, you know, or if you're into tennis or whatever it is that you could focus on that clears your mind, moves your body, and then helps make that mind-body connection. You know, for you, it was surfing. For other people, it's, you know, something else. But it's so important to not just tunnel vision your way into an idea or a brand, but also utilize the skills that you've acquired, you know, throughout your life and whatever keeps you grounded.
100%. And clearly it was what I needed to learn at that time. So it was also a big teaching for me. Everything that happened, the way it happened, was a big lesson for me. I had to figure it out on my own. I couldn't rely on other people. I had to do it in this way. I had to bet on myself,
right?
Literally. Like I had to put it all on black, you know?
Yeah,
like,
we get it.
So it's like, okay, let's go. Yeah. So, you know, and it's not feeling defeated by it. It's like choosing to rise to the occasion. Like this tension is an opportunity to actually kind of like push myself through it and see where I can go.
Right.
And that brought me to where I am today. And the whole thing has been a lesson. My whole career as a surfer, I had all these big brands supporting me. And had these two women and I got into business, they would have really taken over the financial aspect and also the running the business aspect. Mm-hmm. And I could have continued to create, which would have been great. I would have loved it. That said, I wouldn't have learned everything that I've learned through having to figure it out on my own. So it's cool, you know, and it just gave me so much more resilience and so much more space and elasticity because I'm like, oh, wow, I did all this. That's cool.
Absolutely. I agree.
So now you had all this collection created. How did you get it to the community? How did you do the storytelling around it?
Totally. So, you know, at that time I had a small social media following and that was a tool, right? Like I really think social media is a tool. And in that way, I started, you know, communicating about my brand. I started showing up at the beach, like every time I was at the beach, like connecting with people in the water, putting it out there, again, calling on my community that I had built, like a friend.
It's like a pop-up store on a surfboard.
Exactly. You know, you're at the beach, everybody's chatting. Oh, I love what you're wearing. Whether I know them or not, they're like, oh, I love what you're wearing. Oh, cool. Like, yeah, this is my brand. I made this. What? You made that? Oh my gosh. Like, cool.
Right.
Then, hey, check it out online, you know, check it out online. And I definitely started more so D2C with a little bit in stores based on my connections and really growing in like a super organic way like that. And that's kind of how it started, you know, just kind of putting it together through connection and community.
And where's the business now? Like where you're sold still in stores as well as online? Like what's the percentage of online versus in store?
So really what's happened over the last probably like 18 to 24 months has the whole surf industry as an entirety has really shifted and really in some ways imploded. There was the whole backlash of, you know, I mean, if you read articles right now about surfing in the surf world, it's insane because really everything has like gone topsy-turvy because a lot of the bigger brands got bought by venture capital companies and put everything on like 80% off. And wetsuit world specifically is kind of like a hard good. So there's far less margin and everybody was just flooded. The whole surf industry was flooded and people, big brands, small brands are sitting on wetsuits, right? So over the last 24 months, like my wholesale business, which was like 40% wholesale, 60% online, really shifted. And a lot of the brick and mortar stores are having a really hard time because everybody gets everything online these days, as well as like the whole implosion of the surf industry. So that being said, it's been a really interesting time. So I'm kind of like, I love collaborating. I love creating with people. I've chosen, actually, I just announced a few months ago, I'm not going to make any wetsuits on my own anymore. I'm only going to make wetsuits in collaboration with brands that I love. And I'm going to design products in collaboration with other small brands so we can work together because I really feel like the future for small brands is really collaboration. So how can we work together to create products together, market together, connect together, rather than all of us making our own little thing? Let's collaborate.
So in that instance, you would be kind of like the designer, they'd be the manufacturer.
Exactly. So I just made an announcement. Hey, this is my last wetsuit collection. I'm going to do this way. All the wetsuits that I'm going to make from now on are actually going to be bespoke wetsuits and just little collections here and there with one of my favorite ever. They were with me since day one. So they're the ones who helped me design my first collection. And I worked with all my silhouettes. They're the second oldest Japanese wetsuit brand called Axe. And so we're in really good collaboration. They're huge innovators and they make my favorite wetsuits by far. We're going to actually do a lot of unisex wetsuits. So for everybody. And then also some bespoke wetsuits where we take your measurements, you know, it's like actually a wetsuit made exactly for you. Very high end. I'm going to continue to make the surf wax on my own because I love it. So that's going to be the only thing I produce solo. And then I'm making a bathing suit collection with these people, a little kind of like ready to wear collection with these folks.
And is that so the future is your name is your brand, I mean KASSIA+SURF, and then in there will be collaborations you're doing with other companies,
Totally.
and just whatever products pop up is whatever product will pop up. It's all geared towards your core market, which is the surf community.
100%. And it also frees me up because I'm not going to be like calling stores and chasing up them, paying their bills and things like this, right? And I'm going to be more free to work on my retreats that actually are something that I've been doing a lot of over the last 7 years. You know, starting a company is a little lonely. You know, starting a company took me out of the water, which is what inspired the company in the first place. And I had a bunch of injuries, like concussions and shoulder dislocations. I mean, surfing's, it's water, but you get injured, you know? So there's all these things that took me out of the water. And to be honest, I needed a little bit of a break. But it's when I started actually teaching again and connecting to people. So that was another way that it was like a marketing tool. I'm teaching surfing. There's so many people getting into surfing either later in life or they maybe surf when they were a kid and they're actually getting into surfing again at a second time, but like really wanting to get back into it in a good way and, you know, wanting to expedite their fun curve, you know, like the better they
I'm
get
3
faster.
seconds away from becoming a surfer. I live on the beach actually. And, and I see all the kite surfers all the time. I'm a boater. I'm a swimmer. I do all so like I got to get out. There's no reason why I wouldn't be out on a surfboard. I mean, honestly.
Well, and that's it. It's like such a good way to connect. It's such a good way to connect to community. And it's something that really you can like, it's the fountain of youth, I think, you know, and something that you can really grow older with, you know? So it's like, now I'm like, I'm surfing for longevity, but I want to teach people, you know, people coming on retreat with me. It's amazing witnessing people's growth curves. I mean, I've had people that have been on the majority of my retreats over the last 4 or 5 years. And just to see their growth, I mean, we save them like 7 to 10 years of learning just by giving them these things that we all had to learn the hard way. And just like we're able to, we do video feedback, we do real-time coaching, we do all these things. Bringing people, I bring in my sound work because throughout my time, I got into sound and vibrational therapy. So we also do a lot of meditation, a lot of connection because surfing, as we spoke about earlier, is that tool that really taught me everything about life and how to navigate life on land.
Yeah.
And so there's a lot that comes up, you know, the ocean is a giant mirror. So it reflects to you what else is going on in your life. So you have an opportunity, just like yoga, right? Like what you bring on the mat is like, what are you going through in your life?
Right. What are your intentions for the day? What do you want to get done? Absolutely.
Exactly. So it's a different way to take it to the mat. It's like, take it to the board.
So it seems like you're in a pivotal spot right now. You know, you went from being a manufacturer to really having a brand and then doing collaboration. So tell us, like, how important is that community? It sounds like, you know, you've really embraced the community and you're growing your community because you're doing all these retreats and so forth. And so product sales will still be a part of your life, but I guess the power of the community really helps you do everything you want to be doing in the surf world, I would imagine, right?
100%. It connected me back to the ocean, teaching and really sharing what I know, and then witnessing people having peak experiences. Also reconnected me to the joy of how stoked I was on surfing when I was a kid. So I'm just as excited about surfing 28 years later. I may be more excited than I was when I first started. So it's been a rebirth for me in connecting to the ocean. And then I get to share that and create a global community through that, which is really the reason for the brand in the first place.
How do you empower this community? Because, you know, we're e-commerce people, right? And I think, you know, to a certain extent, you've become an e-commerce person. So I guess the question is with this passionate community that you have, you know, we obviously built a software, you know, fans use us to empower their community. I'm wondering how you empower this community. I mean, you're physically touching them in the retreats or in lessons, but the community is larger than that. And so, like, how do you empower them to, you know, really understand the products that you bring to market, the differentiators that you're bringing, and then ultimately helping them to maybe teach their networks about it and to continue to expand the community?
It's just through connection, right? It's like, what if I send a newsletter, I write it. It's my voice. Mm-hmm. And I think that that's the difference. People can really hear my voice. And anytime I've had people hired to help me with stuff like that, or to help me with like marketing, it just doesn't work, because it's really my voice that people connect with. And so really that has been the teaching as well. So really being pure with what I'm putting out there, not putting things out there to sell, but putting things out there because I'm inspired. So really creating content that I feel is valuable. I've created like a online learn to surf video with some people. So I feel like that's like an online tool that touches more people than can physically come on retreat with me. Mm-hmm. And then obviously, again, social media is a tool. It's a way to connect with people as well. So through my newsletters and through connecting through social media. And then I've started working with WhatsApp, and we've created like a kind of WhatsApp group, just sharing connection in that way too. So I'm constantly looking for different ways, and an idea I have that I want to understand better how to facilitate. And I don't know if it's through an app or whatever. It's like, a lot of my connections at this point have been like, okay, I'm connected. And then this person comes on retreat and I'm like, oh, I know all these other people on the East Coast that all want to, here, let me connect you all. So then I connect them. Right. But I really want to create a platform and or figure out working with another platform that is this kind of hub of connection that branches out. So whether it's through, meditations, whether it's through, online connections, maybe workshops, or the in-person, my intention right now, as I'm at this pivotal point, is to create more of a hub.
It would seem that that's the next step. I think you nailed it, because if you're not going to be manufacturing on your own, then you're going to be doing collaborations. They'll have its peaks and valleys as to when you're in market and when you're not, when you have products for sale and when you don't. So the key is to build this community and keep them active in the things that you're doing, and create a larger and larger community of like-minded people. I would suggest to you that the place is probably right on your own website.
Totally. And it's just like how to actually turn it into a tool and how to make it functional, because really empowering people is giving them the tools to connect themselves. Right. And then it's a choice to turn it on, right? Like you can't empower anybody. You can just like put tools out there and give them access to those tools. And then they empower themselves by utilizing those tools and access points. So really creating like a hub of connection to empower other people to get out, and then having tips and tricks and having like, hey, this is an opportunity to come with me here, and then take it back to your community. Light everybody else up through what you learned here.
Yeah. Well, we made it a point not to sell anything on this podcast, so we won't directly talk about our platform, but I think we're thinking along the same direction. We have built a platform to allow brands to empower their community to tell their friends and followers about what they're doing and what they're into. So, and ultimately drive e-commerce sales in most cases here. But, it's all about giving the tools to your community and giving them the inspiration that they want to keep coming back and telling their friends about it. And then the community grows from that. So we can certainly talk about more specifics in that another time. Corinne, yeah?
So what's next for you, for your brand, for your community? Any collaboration or ritual you're excited about?
Absolutely. Right now, I have a couple really awesome retreats coming up. I have like a couple collaborations in the works. Like I'm 43 right now. Obviously, I'm in the sun a lot. Sun protection is a huge thing. So I'm actually working on, I really like a lot of like physical sun protection. I think that that's really important, whether it's like lycra suits and or surf hats and things like this, because obviously we need to put some things on our skin, which that's important. That said, actual physical sun protection, like our actual kind of skin layer, we don't want to be absorbing all this stuff, right? So that's where I'm working on a couple collections like that, like some SPF wear. And that's been a huge piece, is like, okay, selling off the product we have, fine tuning our bespoke wetsuits and how that works, like how the kind of like, because measuring people is not easy, right? Like you can only measure so many people physically. So we launched it in Japan this year, and we're going to work on launching it in the US in this next year. So
there's definitely a lot of technology now that allows you to measure. I know I'm a swimmer, and I buy goggles that are made for me, and I just scan my face with their software using my phone, and then within 2 weeks I have perfectly fitting set of goggles. So
that's cool.
And I know Karina and I, when we first started our company, we were part of LVMH's program, La Maison de Startup. It's their a startup accelerator program. And we met a company early in those days that had a technology that still exists today. And I know there's a lot more people doing it, but literally just scanning technology. So you can scan your body. It takes 20 different points, and then you have perfectly set up for creating your garments and so forth.
That's awesome. Yeah, those are things that I want to work on with like the Japanese crew. So going to get that kind of jamming and really excited about that. And then too, creating this hub. That's kind of like a little something that I want to understand the functionalities of it, and really how to create a hub for connection and engagement, like a tool for learning, a tool for people, to connect, like, hey, I live out east. Like, oh, is there a map that I can tune into? Right. And on that map, like, this is where I live. And then other people can connect in that hub and start their own group meetups. Just really feeling into ways that, again, I can like empower other people with all the tools that I want to share.
So now that you're important. 20 years into being an entrepreneur almost, what advice would you have given your young self that you kind of learned along the way and you wish you knew then?
Gosh, I think, pausing a little bit more, because too, like, part of me being a surfer is like listening to my instincts and charging full ahead. Mm-hmm. And I think in some moments, if I feel this anxiety coming up, like understanding, hey, this is like anxiety. This is like, if I'm feeling I need to rush anything, pausing a minute, taking a breath, slowing down. I think that in life would have really helped me. And now I use that. When I'm feeling like, oh, I'm rushing something, I take a breath and I pause. And if it's still there, I come back to it. But then also when something is a spark of intuition, really listening to that and not just being like, oh, I'll get to it later. So there's like a delicate dance between really listening to your instinct and intuition and also not rushing.
Isn't it amazing as an athlete when your body doesn't do everything it used to do when you're younger, your mind starts to take over and you become smarter. And so you actually see in a lot of cases athletes that are supposedly beyond their usable age in their sport are actually some of the best athletes out there, because they're letting now their mind learning things like, don't rush through it. The ocean will give you what it gives you. Recognize it and then go for it. Like, certain things that you do as an athlete now, as an older athlete, probably even makes you better just because you're thinking more. You're using your experience to drive that home.
Yeah, that absolutely, Corey. That, and like Kelly is a perfect example. Going back to Kelly, I mean, he is an anomaly, and he just keeps getting better. And you're like, wait, what? Like, the best surfer on the planet, hands down. And two, I also think it's another thing, wisdom. You don't beat yourself. You believe in yourself a lot more. And you see these younger kids that get in their head, and then Kelly runs circles around them. Not only because he's been doing it for so long, so his body has like, it naturally does these things, but exactly that, Corey, is that knowingness. You know what I mean? Like,
yeah, no, I've become a better tennis player. I've become a better skier. I just because I'm thinking more about, how to do it the right way, how to do it maybe more efficiently, how to not, put 100% of my effort, in the first 12 minutes, because I'm going to need it for the longevity, and I'm going to need that. Just ways in which you adapt your physical prowess based on what your mind is saying.
100%. And like, that's exactly what I say to my clients when they come on retreat with me. It's like, hey, I'm going to teach you. I'm constantly refining my paddle. I'm constantly understanding how I can use the least energy in the most effective way. Right. Because at this point, I'm surfing for longevity. Right. And the reason that I can surf out here for 4 hours on a good day and not be tired is because I'm surfing efficiently. You know, you're smoked after an hour and a half because like you're not doing it efficiently. Let's work smarter, not harder. And so it's really refining. And yeah, we're at the time in our life where we're refining. And in that refining, we're able to see where things are wasted or where we can actually be more intentional.
Yeah, and I think that also fits really well with the entrepreneurial journey. You know, you don't have to work harder, you have to work smarter, and you have to be more efficient. Listen, Kassia, I really enjoyed this. So as an entrepreneur, you have to have vision, purpose, and a drive to succeed. And I think what we learned today is Kassia's journey to create and build her brand evolves every day. If her story resonated with you and you want to learn more about her great brand and the community that she continues building, check out her website at KassiaSurf.com. That's KASSIA surf, SURF.com. You'll find the latest collections, upcoming gatherings, and more ways to tap into the magic that she's creating. So, Kassia, thank you so much for joining us. We really appreciate it.
Oh, thanks so much for having me. And thank you so much for giving people access to these stories. And hopefully it continues to inspire a bunch of makers and entrepreneurs.
That is our goal. That's our goal.